Lu Shang approached the man with a calm demeanor, expressing confidence that he possessed a solution to their predicament. The man's anxiety became palpable, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, as he eagerly implored Lu Shang to divulge his escape plan from the clutches of the pursuing organizations. Desperate for a way out, he pledged his willingness to cooperate with any proposal Lu Shang might offer. With a serene smile gracing his features, Lu Shang leaned in, requesting the middle-aged man to disclose the whereabouts of a certain dense gold mine. The man, now intrigued, instructed Lu Shang to retrieve his phone and proceeded to display the coveted location on a satellite map. Upon receiving the information, Lu Shang deftly manipulated his phone, a mischievous grin playing on his lips as he reassured the middle-aged man that their pursuers would trouble them no longer. Intrigued by Lu Shang's swift resolution, the middle-aged man leaned closer, attempting to catch a glimpse of the unfolding plan. His incredulity peaked as he questioned how such a complex problem could be solved in mere moments. Displaying the screen of his mobile device, Lu Shang revealed that he had disseminated the location of the dense gold mine across public forums. The middle-aged man stood in stunned disbelief, realizing the magnitude of the revelation. A treasure worth hundreds of billions laid bare to the world at Lu Shang's casual whim. Meanwhile, within the confines of the Ring Imprint Organization's headquarters, a flurry of activity ensued as personnel diligently monitored the movements and signals of their members. Alarm rippled through the room as it was discovered that the signal of the ninth member had been lost, prompting speculation about potential complications. One individual, bearing a troubled expression, voiced concerns regarding the laxity in their pursuit of the middle-aged man, emphasizing the threat posed by his possession of the gold mine's location. Before any further deliberation could take place, a collective gasp swept through the room as it came to light that the confidential information had been leaked online, rapidly disseminating across various platforms. The online post stated that the gold mine was worth hundreds of billions, catching the attention of many organizations and powerful individuals worldwide. The supervisor, with brown hair, shouted in anger, his veins bulging on his forehead. They had been chasing the middle-aged man for a long time, and many members had died trying to get the secret location of the gold mine. Lu Shang's move surprised them. In a room deep within the headquarters, a man slammed his fist on the sofa handle. He didn't expect such a bold move. Now, the middle-aged man held no value because the information had leaked online. This man, dressed in red, shouted angrily, ordering everyone to find out who leaked the information and made them look foolish. He told his subordinates to find that person and teach them a lesson. Meanwhile, at the five-star hotel, the middle-aged man checked the online post on his phone. Within seconds, there were many comments below it, with people rushing to search for the mine. With a strange look in his eyes, he glanced at Lu Shang. He wondered if the young man didn't know the value of the gold mine, or if it didn't matter to him at all. This made him ponder who exactly Lu Shang was. Later, Lu Shang advised the man to rest for a day in the hotel room and suggested he hide with his daughter somewhere safe for a few days until the commotion caused by the gold mine passed. After giving his advice, Lu Shang wished the man good luck and said goodbye before leaving. Just as he was about to leave, the little girl who had been sleeping came out of the room and asked if they would meet again in the future. Lu Shang sat down, patted the girl on her head, and assured her before leaving. Meanwhile, at the old factory site where Lu Shang had confronted the female grandmaster, two inconspicuous people arrived to investigate the scene after tracking the female. They were also part of the Ring Imprint Organization. One man wondered why the ninth member was so weak that someone could grab her head and kill her on the spot. The other person, kneeling before the corpse, suggested that the killer must have been very strong because there were no signs of resistance. It seemed like she couldn't fight back at all. They found the female corpse in a huge crater, as if a machine had dug it. No one would have expected it to be caused by smashing a grandmaster's head on the ground. The scene was incredibly cruel and violent. The man who was examining the corpse stood up and asked his comrade about their next steps. He hesitantly asked if they should keep chasing the culprit. The other man, pointing at the corpse, said it would be a waste to pursue a monstrous martial artist who could kill the ninth without any effort. He also mentioned that the location of the gold mine had already been published, making the mission useless and dangerous. After considering these suggestions, they both decided not to pursue the matter. Meanwhile, after leaving the five-star hotel, Lu Shang entered the Dream Realm to investigate the information related to these evil organizations. There were several active organizations during this period, such as Darkstar, Ring Imprint, and Black Demon Society. Some of these societies had been active for thousands of years. Throughout history, it had been rare to find a martial saint, even over thousands of years. Lu Shang suspected there might be a martial saint among these organizations, possibly supported by different states or countries. Looking through the information provided by Ellie, Lu Shang discovered that the Ring Imprint organization was researching otherworldly martial artists. They had caused trouble worldwide and had been attacked by several countries. This led Lu Shang to wonder about these otherworldly martial artists. Upon searching for data, he found that these martial artists were created by transplanting genes from otherworldly monsters, resulting in incredibly strong martial artists who could surpass others at the same level by several times. Considering the implications of this information, Lu Shang pondered the potential consequences of such powerful beings being manipulated by these organizations. He realized that if these otherworldly martial artists were to be unleashed upon the world, the consequences could be catastrophic. It was clear to him that he needed to take action to prevent such a disaster from occurring. As he delved deeper into his investigation, Lu Shang began to formulate a plan to disrupt the operations of these organizations and put an end to their dangerous experiments. But there are both advantages and disadvantages involved in this process. After receiving the transplantation, both the consciousness and the body will be eroded and transformed. It is simply like a time bomb that could explode at any moment. After learning this information, Lu Shang came to realize that the female master he encountered previously also felt unusual, which meant that the Ring Imprint had already begun using such technology. Thinking about this, Lu Shang felt something wrong. He wondered if this organization is related to the invasion of otherworldly monsters. But even so, centuries had passed since the time the monsters invaded. The leaders of the Dragon Kingdom were no fools. They should be able to deal with such situation easily. Therefore, Lu Shang decided to not get involved in these matters any further. He decided, if he encountered them in the future, he will just clear them up. About the otherworldly martial artist, even though this path of martial art was a bit unconventional, it is not without merits. Lu Shang decided to check it out in the future. After checking out the information regarding these evil information, Lu Shang closed the panels. After that, he asked Ellie to bring out the information of father and daughter whom he saved before. After going through the information, their future did not seem bleak. It was quite better. The little girl, Gu Luyan, had become investigation branch chief after growing up into a stunning lady. She devoted her to track down Ring Imprint, Dark Star, Black Demon Society, and other such organizations. The total number of terrorists she has shot dead exceeded 800. After reading the little girl information, Lu Shang was flabbergasted. He did not expect to save an international elite member by helping someone. As he scrolled down on the information, the marital status section left him speechless. The little girl had unrequited love for the martial saint of the Dragon Kingdom, Lu Shang, the perfected martial saint. Therefore, she never got married. Lu Shang was left speechless, his eyes narrowed. He kept staring at the virtual screen for some moment. Coming back to his senses, sweat poured down his face. He instantly swiped away the virtual screen, deciding not to read such messy information again so as not to ruin his Dao heart. Later, he checked out some other information on virtual platform. After that, he decided to deal with the scumbag Lian Yi. Later, Lu Shang left for Fengzhe City. Upon arriving at the working community area, he swiftly located the residence of Fu Jiaming, the victim of the heinous acts committed by Lian Yi and his father. Lu Shang confidently knocked on the door, hoping to find some answers. After a brief pause, a woman cautiously opened the door, leaving only a small gap, and inquired about Lu Shang's intentions. He explained that he was looking for Fu Jiaming. The mention of Fu Jiaming's name seemed to unsettle the woman, who nervously denied any knowledge and urged Lu Shang to search elsewhere. Hastily, she attempted to shut the door, but Lu Shang swiftly blocked it with his foot. Startled, the woman demanded to know what Lu Shang wanted. Undeterred, Lu Shang reiterated his inquiry, expressing his belief that Fu Jiaming resided at that address. Seeing his determination, the woman relented and admitted that Fu Jiaming no longer lived there. She cautioned Lu Shang that if he refused to leave, she would involve the police. Hearing this, Lu Shang became impatient. He didn't know who this woman was or why she lived here, but it was clear she was hiding something. Not wanting to waste too much time, Lu Shang glared at her and told her that he wasn't interested in the house. All he wanted to know was where the man was. The woman, meeting Lu Shang's gaze, involuntarily took a few steps back. Seconds later, she pointed in a direction and said the man now lived beside the dumpster. She even called him an old madman, mentioning that he went insane after his whole family died. In a soft voice, she added that she hadn't stolen his house because the man had lost his mind. Lu Shang let out a sigh. Then with a light nod, he thanked her and left. He didn't want to get involved in any dispute between them. His main goal for today was to find the man. As Lu Shang walked away, the woman breathed a sigh of relief, puzzled why anyone would specifically look for the old madman. But she felt reassured that Lu Shang seemed uninterested in the house. Lu Shang circled the old building and eventually found the trash heap in a corner. An old man, dressed in ragged clothes, was rummaging through a garbage bin. Lu Shang took out a photo of the victim's father, carefully comparing it before calling out the man's name. The man, whose shoes were worn out and his toes were sticking out of them, paid no mind to the stench and flies surrounding the garbage bin. He squinted his eyes and looked towards Lu Shang when he heard his name. Taking a few steps closer, Lu Shang examined him. Seeing Lu Shang approach, the old man looked at him wearily, asking who he was and why he was looking for him. Lu Shang examined the photo in his hand, likely an old work ID of the man before the tragedy. He figured that the man should be in his late 40s this year. However, now looking at the man before him with entirely gray hair and a face as dark and wrinkled as dried bark, Lu Shang couldn't help but sigh, wondering what hardships the old man had endured during this time. Getting no response, the man asked again, this time raising his voice, his tone becoming more serious. Lu Shang, however, remained silent. The man used to work as a manager in a factory and had a happy family life with his wife and 2 daughters. One night, his younger daughter was abducted on her way home from a night class by people from the Jidao Martial School. Upon hearing the news, the elder daughter went to confront the culprits but never returned. A week later, the bodies of both sisters were found on a riverbank outside the city, meeting tragic ends. What they went through was unimaginable. Unable to bear the loss, the man's wife took her own life. The man sought help everywhere he could, but to no avail. Finally, after kneeling for weeks at the entrance of the 7th Divine Martial University, he sought out the martial saint and begged him to help. The martial saint didn't agree on the spot nor declined. Seeing that Lu Shang hadn't responded after being asked twice, the man instinctively grabbed a garbage bag by his feet, thinking Lu Shang was there to steal from him. Witnessing this, Lu Shang felt a pang of sorrow in his heart. After a moment of thought, he finally spoke up, telling the man that he was a classmate of the man's younger daughter and had come specifically to see him. Perhaps hearing his daughter's name sparked something, as something seemed to suddenly light up. He stepped forward excitedly, examining Lu Shang, hardly daring to believe, and asked Lu Shang if he really was his daughter's classmate. Lu Shang nodded and told the man he was there to help him today. The old man's lips quivered for a moment, but suddenly his demeanor became fierce. He looked at Lu Shang angrily, loudly accusing him of lying. As it turned out, the man had searched for all of his daughter's classmates and friends himself. He was sure that Lu Shang definitely wasn't one of them. The man was not insane as everyone claimed he was, his emotions running high, even going so far as to grab Lu Shang by the collar, furiously accusing him of deceit. He wondered if Lu Shang was here trying to take something from him, just like everyone else. The man's breathing became rapid, his speech almost incoherent, as he stared intently at Lu Shang, raising his voice to say he remembered those people, every single one of them, but each one had claimed not to have seen his daughter. His eyes gradually reddened, veins bulging with a bitter smile. He shook his head, knowing they were all lying. How could it be that none had seen her? They were simply afraid of telling the truth. His voice grew more suppressed towards the end, and he crouched down as if about to cry. Lu Shang took a deep breath, patted the man's shoulder, apologized for claiming to be his daughter's classmate, and then crouched down beside him. However, he calmly and earnestly insisted that he indeed came to help. The man seemed confused, his gaze landing on Lu Shang as if he had discovered something. He suddenly grabbed Lu Shang's hand and then excitedly asked if Lu Shang was a powerful martial artist. Upon receiving a nod in affirmation, the man's demeanor transformed to one of joy, as if he had finally seen hope after years of waiting. The man had already met many martial artists and could almost recognize one at a glance. He then turned, squatting down to rummage through his burlap bag, pulling out various bottles and jars and some loose change, offering all his treasures to Lu Shang if he could help him kill the lean father and son. Lu Shang looked at the items in the man's hand, covered in flies, but didn't say anything. Seeing Lu Shang's silence, the man grew anxious, and after several seconds, eventually, he discarded everything, clattering to the ground. His body trembled with fear, worried that Lu Shang might refuse due to the insufficient amount of money. He hurriedly promised that he could earn more, insisting that selling the scrap could still fetch some money. The man begged Lu Shang for help. He had nothing left, even offering his own life if necessary. Lu Shang observed the desperate man before him. At this very moment, there was no expression on Lu Shang's face, and no one knew what he was thinking. However, The old man suddenly fell silent. He squatted on the ground, head bowed. From his tone, it seemed to be filled with self-mockery and despair. As he looked at the bottles and jars, some shattered, tears welled up in his eyes. He didn't think Lu Shang would help him anymore and started to mutter to himself, questioning whether Lu Shang had come just to mock him, or perhaps the Ji-Dao martial arts school had sent him to check if he was dead yet. The old man burst into laughter, yet tears continued to stream down his face. He gritted his teeth with hatred, vowing to keep living no matter what, to survive until he saw the demise of those responsible for his family's tragedy. His bloodshot eyes stared fiercely at Lu Shang. His words were venomous yet determined to live until he could witness their tragic death, to see them descend and rot in hell. Lu Shang squatted down, picking up a yellowed and faded photo lying among the debris. It was a family portrait of the man, captured years ago when they were still a warm and intact family. Perhaps no one would have thought the tragedy would happen to them. Holding the photo, Lu Shang told the man he would borrow it for a while and calmly assured him, "You will see it happen, I promise you." The old man paused as if he hadn't heard clearly. By the time he looked up again, Lu Shang was already walking away. The old man's gaze followed him in confusion, his dry lips repeatedly murmuring, "Thank you, thank you," tears flowing as he thought, even if Lu Shang was lying to him, he was grateful. Lu Shang exhaled slowly, feeling slightly relieved. He had thought his mental fortitude was strong, as he only wanted to focus solely on his own family martial arts and preventing the catastrophe 10,000 years from now. Taking on this task was simply an act of convenience. After all, with so much darkness and tragedy in the world, he couldn't possibly help everyone. Yet, something about this man's plight struck a chord within him. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. It was a chubby man in shorts and a tank top, smoking a cigarette. Taking a deep drag, he exhaled before speaking to Lu Shang, telling him that it's been a long time since anyone came looking for the old man. Curious, Lu Shang asked if it used to happen more often. The chubby man replied with a bitter smile, saying it was frequent, but mostly by those looking to swindle the man's money. In the years following his family's demise, the man, driven mad by grief, sought help for revenge from anyone who was a martial artist, offering his life savings and everything else he had in return. However, everyone knew the culprit behind his family's tragedy was the Ji-Dao martial school. Eventually, the man was cheated out of everything, including his sanity and even his home. The chubby man approached Lu Shang for a chat, noting that Lu Shang hadn't taken the man's money, which he found commendable. Otherwise, he wouldn't waste a single second talking to him. After another puff of his cigarette, he curiously asked what Lu Shang was there for. Lu Shang smiled and simply replied that he would go find them and then kill these bastards. The chubby man was stunned, only until the ash from his cigarette fell onto his thigh, snapping him back to reality. Meanwhile, at the 7th Divine Martial University, a cloaked person sat in Zhao's office, sipping on his beverage while blowing on the steam. The person mentioned that Lu Shang hadn't gone to Ming City. Zhao nodded, aware that Lu Shang returned yesterday and had taken on 2 new missions. The cloaked person, with a smirk, pointed out that Lian Yi currently resides in Ming City, though Lu Shang could have gone there first. He seemed to deliberately take a longer route to him. This clearly indicated Lu Shang's intention to avoid Lian Yi and seemed to have given up on the second option offered by the martial saint. However, the person claimed this was the actual test from the martial saint himself. After a pause and another sip of the beverage, he remarked, "It's natural to seek fortune and avoid disaster." Xiao remained expressionless, setting down his drink, believing it too early to draw conclusions since there was still time before the competition. The cloaked person finished his drink in one gulp, while noting there's not much time left after all. The martial saint isn't known for giving second chances. Xiao didn't respond this time, his gaze fixed outside the window, deep in thought, hoping Lu Shang wouldn't disappoint the martial saint. Back to the 7th Divine Martial University, which had gradually calmed down, was once again stirred with waves of excitement today. Upon hearing the announcement, many students made their way to the center of the campus. There, they witnessed the latest news on the screens. A tall figure clad in a tank top while carrying a metallic sword on his back was seen slowly making his way into the campus. This was Xiao Lan, previously ranked second on the senior students list. He had accepted a double mission and had returned much sooner than expected. Even through the screen, some of the students could sense his intense aura. Many freshmen gathered together, chatting excitedly about the notorious AA missions known for their extreme difficulty. Among them stood Chan Yixian, quietly observing a man he had once bested in combat displayed on a screen. Chen pondered whether Xiao Lan had surpassed his own martial prowess. Before long, a cheerful girl with 2 ponytails approached him, her smile infectious as she relayed the news of Xiao Lan's likely return for the National Martial Arts Competition, a grand event occurring once every 2 years. Chen couldn't afford to miss it, yet he couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. He sighed heavily, contemplating the inevitable challenges awaiting not just them, but all participants, including the much-touted prodigies. However, Chen found solace in the thought of Lu Shang's formidable skills potentially leading their university to victory. The girl, seemingly privy to insider information, shared with Chen the unsettling revelation that Lu Shang would not be participating in the competition. Chen's confusion grew. Why would a talent like Lu Shang choose to abstain? The girl enlightened him, revealing that her father, employed at the university, had disclosed Lu Shang's dilemma. He had been tasked with 2 tests by the esteemed martial saint, one of which involved undertaking an SSS-ranked secret mission. It dawned on Chen that the true test lay in foregoing the martial arts competition, orchestrated by none other than the martial saint himself. This revelation stirred a mixture of frustration and resentment towards the university's leadership for seemingly stifling Lu Shang's potential. The girl, sensing Chen's growing agitation, urged him to keep his voice down, cautioning against questioning the martial saint's enigmatic motives. Chen sighed, his expression a blend of regret and indignation, his frustration palpable as he recalled the events of the martial arts competition from 2 years prior. The memory of the Ji Dao martial school's twin stars dominating the competition, leaving their rivals humiliated, still lingered. Rumors swirled about a new prodigy emerging this year, rumored to surpass even the twin stars in prowess. Initially, Chen had pinned his hopes on Lu Shang to redeem their university's honor. However, as graduation loomed, it appeared they were destined for yet another defeat. The weight of disappointment bore down on Chen as he grappled with the implications of Lu Shang's absence from the competition and the uncertain future it heralded for their university's martial arts legacy. The girl reached out and gently touched Chen's cheek, comforting him with soft words, telling him not to worry. Chen blushed at the gesture, only to hear her jokingly remark that getting defeated multiple times would eventually become more tolerable. Essentially, she was saying to just get used to it. However, her words felt like a punch to the gut, hitting a sore spot for Chen. Meanwhile, upon returning to campus, Lu Shang took on 2 new missions, but chose to stay in his dormitory instead of immediately starting them. Suddenly, he felt his phone vibrate. It was an email from the school, notifying participants to gather at the school entrance at 8 a.m. in 3 days to attend the competition. The email warned that failing to show up on time would be considered forfeiting the right to participate. For some reason, he suspected this final reminder was specifically intended for him. Anyway, he had noticed several suspicious figures lingering around him since his return to campus, likely sent by the school to monitor whether he would leave his dormitory. There were also people in a distant building constantly watching him. Lu Shang let out a cold smirk. It seemed like everyone preferred him not to participate in the martial arts competition. However, they all knew Lu Shang wasn't easily swayed by others' desires. Gazing at the Divine Martial Tower, he knew for a fact that neither the 7th Divine Martial University nor the martial saints himself could sway his decision. For the next 3 days, he remained in his dormitory. The 3rd day quickly arrived, and as the competition commenced, several buses were parked at the entrance of the university, surrounded by many students. The top 10 from the senior student rankings had already arrived, and numerous freshmen were there to cheer them on. The vice principal, Xiao, was leading the team himself. However, he seemed to be searching for someone, his gaze wandering through the crowd. Despite this, the students behind him were excited, believing that with the Demon King joining the fray, their university was poised to redeem its past humiliations. Yet, as time passed without any sign of Lu Shang, Chen stood amongst the crowd, a wry smile on his face. Clearly, these people were unaware that Lu Shang had no intention of attending. To him, becoming the disciple of the martial saint was far more significant than participating in a competition. Xiao kept looking at his watch, letting out a sigh as the departure time got closer. He wasn't sure if he felt disappointed that Lu Shang wasn't coming or maybe relieved that he made a better choice. Suddenly, his expression changed as he sensed a strong presence coming closer. Looking up, he saw a figure descending from the sky, causing excitement and cheers in the crowd. Everyone eagerly shouted Lu's name. Although Zhao's expression was mixed, Lu Shang calmly approached, apologizing for being late. Xiao whispered to Lu Shang that he still had time to change his mind. The competition hadn't started yet, and he could still choose not to participate. Lu Shang calmly reminded Xiao of his own advice, saying it's important to follow his own will. Xiao seemed like he wanted to say more, but then took a deep breath and signaled everyone to board the bus. The students cheered loudly, supporting the team representing their university. After hours of traveling on the bus, everyone was given university uniforms, which Lu Shang also changed into. As the team leader, the vice principal waited until everyone was dressed before explaining the competition details. Meanwhile, Lu Shang gazed out the window, lost in thought about his own matters. He thought about the realm of a grandmaster, where one's blood energy level is as fervent as a furnace, forming one's first martial will and creating a grandmaster's force field. Then he pondered the 8th level, the great grandmaster. From his experiences in the dream realm, he knew that at this level, one's blood energy becomes exceptionally powerful, easily exceeding 100,000. It flows like rivers, burning like magma, capable of melting steel with combat power exceeding tens of millions. To reach this point, one's blood energy must transition from a liquid to a solid state. Just thinking about it was kind of scary. But Lu Shang knew he was only a step away from achieving this, ready to break through at any moment. As a result, this would continuously refine the body of the martial artist, making them stronger the longer they remained in the Great Grandmaster realm. Another benefit of entering the Great Grandmaster realm is that blood energy doesn't weaken as quickly, allowing martial artists to stay in peak condition for longer. This also gives them a chance to reach the 9th level, the martial saint realm, in their lifetime. Lu Shang noticed changes in his body and wondered when he would achieve this state. But one thing was clear. If given the opportunity, he was determined to experience it firsthand. Closing his eyes, Lu Shang decided to rest for a bit. After some time, they finally arrived at their destination. Stepping off the bus, Lu Shang surveyed the scene. They were at the foot of a mountain, alongside students from the 7th Divine Martial University and other 6 Divine Martial Universities. Ordinary students could only watch the live broadcast from there, but only the strong could ascend to the summit. The vice principal gathered everyone, preparing to climb the mountain. However, Lu Shang had already dashed ahead. He knew he wasn't yet ready to face a martial saint directly, but he aimed to prepare in advance. As long as the martial saint didn't intervene personally, he believed even the great grandmasters posed no real threat to him. Through these battles, he would grow stronger, determined to one day challenge the martial saints as easily as kicking a soccer ball. Lu Shang pondered why everyone thought the mission was the right choice, and why the martial saint didn't want him to participate in the competition. Perhaps there were ulterior motives.